Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you a new house build for my Let's Play The Sims for Nancy Drew. I am so excited to be doing the recording for this video. This house was just a ton of fun to build, and the reason we're building this house is because we discussed a little bit in the comment section about Nancy's plans for her future. So Nancy has become official dating Ned. They are now an official couple, they're boyfriend-girlfriend, and things have been going really well for them. However, they are both young adults. Ned is living with 4 other roommates. Nancy is still living at home with her dad and with Hannah. So it's kind of difficult for them to really get to know each other as a couple when they are both living in houses with so many other people. It's not one of you said that in the comments, and I absolutely 100% agree. It's really hard to truly know your partner when it's there's so many other people from your previous life before dating that person. And I think living together is a great way to get to know that person a little bit more. So anyway, it's still going to be a little while before Ned and Nancy will need this house, but this house will eventually be one that they will move into together. I had so much fun building this house because I didn't really have any blueprint that I was working off of. I just got to be fully creative and kind of do my own thing with this house. So I tried a few new things that I hadn't really tried before. I wanted it to have a traditional feel, but I also wanted it to have a lot of modern elements, because I feel like Ned and Nancy as a couple, they're both kind of classic traditional characters, but this is a new stage in both of their lives, so I really wanted to play up the aspect that this is something new for them. This is something really exciting and a whole new path. So I'm kind of working on the floor plan for the first floor here. I wanted it to have a lot of interesting architectural elements, and I liked the idea of having a really open floor plan. It just looks it looks really nice and flowy, and it makes the space look much bigger if you can see into all different parts of the house. But at the same time, I didn't want the whole place to just be completely open. I do like having spaces that are definitely designed for a particular purpose. So I tried to have these nice big archways, and I made my own archways rather than just using the pre-made like door archways for The Sims. So that was kind of the reasoning for those like gray and white archways here. When I was looking for a door, I knew I wanted like a big classical door, and this one immediately stood out to me. It just caught my attention, and basically the whole design for this house is kind of based on that door. That traditional feel, white door with the black trim is really what I based a lot of the style of this house on. It spoke to me. And I wanted to have this nice rounded porch on the top level and on the bottom level. It just gave it a new architectural element that I don't use, I feel like, nearly as often. And I'm working on the floor plan a little bit before I fully work on the exterior of the house. This is a 3-bedroom and 3-bathroom house. Well, technically 2.5 bath. There is one bathroom downstairs that's more of a powder room, and it doesn't have a shower or a bathtub. I was really struggling here to figure out how to get rid of that one floor tile square, because every time I like blocked it off and deleted it, it opened up the ceiling, and then you can see me struggling here. And then I would draw it again, but then the ceiling would be open and there'd be a hole in the ceiling, and the lighting was totally off. So no matter what I did, it just did not work. I finally figured it out. What I end up having to do is use the bb.moveobjectson cheat, and I take the railing of the stair and I put it in front of the staircase, and that for some reason creates a room. See, I tried to do it here with a wall, but I didn't have the move objects on sheet, and it wouldn't let me put the stairs back where they were supposed to be. So that clearly didn't work, so I had to get rid of the wall again. Put the stairs in. I eventually do figure it out. It's just you guys are just watching the process here, and it takes me a little while. I figured maybe if I made it a whole room that would work, but no, it just really didn't. So there we go. I figured out, let's try putting in the cheat, and it did finally work. So if you are wanting to create an open area for your staircase, or like an overlook or something like that, I think that's what you need to do. You need to use the bb.moveobjectson cheat, and then you can block off the stairs by putting a railing right in front of the stairs, and then block off whatever room you want, and then that should create a room for you if that's the kind of look that you're going for. I made the second bedroom on the back there a little bit smaller so that they were more equal sizes, and then there's an adjoining bathroom, and then there's a master bathroom, another full bathroom upstairs, and as I said, the powder room downstairs. But now we're getting to the architectural details on the outside. I really was thinking of Ned and Nancy as a couple when I was making this house, and again, I wanted to have lots of traditional elements, but I didn't want it to feel stodgy in any way because they're a young couple. And I think they both have like really just kind of revolutionary ideas. I think they are a very I just think they're a unique couple in the sense that they are both so confident with one another, and they are just both very like confident, self-assured, good people. So I wanted to create a house that kind of gave off that vibe. You know, they feel confident. So I feel like the black accents really gives off kind of a confident vibe, but then they also are not afraid of holding on to traditions. And I think traditions are a beautiful thing. So I wanted to really try and keep a lot of those elements there. I struggled with the roofing there. As you could see, I tried out basically all of the different types of round roofs, and I finally just decided that it just was not going to work. So I ended up going with one of the, I guess it's like half of a gabled roof, I guess you would say. And then I created another half of the gabled roof here. I had to pull in the sides or the edges of the roof itself. I was actually pretty happy with how the roofing ended up turning out on this house. I did something a little unique that I don't usually do. I tried to use the round roofs here again. The round roofs were just not working the way I wanted them to. They never looked quite right. I wanted them to kind of round up into the roofs, and just never got that look. And this is what I ended up deciding to do. I ended up wanting this half gable roof to kind of sweep up into the roof on the top. So I play with these angles for a really long time. I never get them to align perfectly, but I get them pretty close, and especially when I put the roof trim on, they go together pretty seamlessly, so you don't notice it as much. I feel like the transition between the two roofs ends up looking pretty smooth. It could probably look smoother, but no matter how hard I tried. And keeping in mind that this is sped up like 400%. So if it's taking me like 30 seconds to do it in this sped up version, it took me a very long time to do this in actual building time. This whole build took me about 2 hours and 45 minutes. That was this was all in one shot too. I just did it all at once. I really wanted to keep my inspiration going and not get distracted. So that's what I did. I really love brick on houses. I think it gives a really timeless quality to any house, and I think houses just look so good with brick. But I didn't want the whole thing to be brick, so I decided to break it up with a little bit of siding, and you can see me trying out lots of different options. I ended up going with this one from Cats and Dogs because I liked the color of the blue specifically. I really enjoyed the color. But the verticalness of the planking, I actually really enjoyed as well. I thought that looked really neat and kind of unique. So then there's bricking around part of the house, and then there's this kind of blue siding around the rest of the house with black accents all the way around. So the house itself is light, but it has these really dark, powerful accents that I think are very fun. At least I enjoyed it. This is definitely a style of house that I would really enjoy. I think I could see myself living here. If I were to live in a sim house, I could definitely see it. It's just kind of a nice blend of modern and timeless elements, which I really like. I was trying to make sure that you couldn't see parts of that narrow band around the middle level of the house. There are parts of it where it doesn't show up because of the stairs or because of the way the roofs are. So I used the pillars to kind of block off those areas to kind of trick the eye into thinking that the siding is the same size, or that narrow strip in the middle is the same size, or like over where the stairs are, where you can't see this that middle strip. I don't even know what it's called. I use the pillars there as well, and I end up making that a feature of the house. I wanted this house to have really big windows. So I wanted tons of natural light. So I immediately went for this big window from the Vintage Glamour Stuff pack. And what I really like about this window is that it's actually really affordable. Those white ones that I was putting all around the house, I wanted to do them at these bay windows too, but I end up having to do, I think, just a base game window. Yeah, that one. I think it is. Yep, that's just base game. To do the window seats on the side there, but I use these big white ones pretty much everywhere else. I wanted this house to try and be affordable. Unfortunately, I got a little bit carried away just because I was enjoying the design style so much. I tried to be affordable as much as possible, but I did struggle a little bit. The house ends up being, I think, $84,000. And you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments because I've been struggling with this a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot. I was thinking about it lying awake in bed last night. Like, that's how much I've been thinking about it. So I would love to hear your input. So Nancy's dad, Carson, is obviously a pretty wealthy man. He is doing really well at his job. Nancy has never really wanted for anything in her life. And her household right now has $60,000 and their house is totally paid off. So they're doing really well. And honestly, Nancy's dad could probably buy her this house and she would have no debt and it would be totally fine. So that's probably an option. But at the same time, I feel like Nancy wouldn't want her dad to just buy her a house. I think she would want to be more independent than that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with parents helping their kids out. I would not be where I am today without my parents helping me financially to get through school and to pay rent in college because college is ridiculously expensive. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think Nancy personally would really want to kind of chart her own path financially. I don't think Ned necessarily wants for money either. So kind of what I'm thinking is that maybe Ned and Nancy will both get a contribution from their parents. We don't see Ned's parents in the Let's Play, but let's pretend that they're there. Maybe they both get a financial contribution from their parents and they get a loan for the rest of the house. Like, I could see Carson giving Nancy like $20,000 or something like that, and maybe Ned's parents give him $20,000, and then perhaps they get a loan for the other $40,000 and then pay it back. I mean, that's what most people do when they buy a house is they take a loan out from the bank and then they pay off the house over time. That's just typically what people do. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. There are mods where you can get loans, or we could just pretend that they got a loan and maybe pay off chunks every time they have to pay bills. I could maybe add like an extra $1,000 onto their bills because Nancy's doing pretty good at her job. So I think they will have enough money. But it would definitely they'd be big bills for sure, especially since I think the bills for this house will already be fairly large. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Or Nancy could just get the house as a gift from her father. Maybe Kate left a trust fund for Nancy when she passed away. And since Nancy didn't go to college, at least not in the games, she hasn't gone to college and she doesn't in like this reality because the university doesn't exist in The Sims. Maybe she uses a trust fund from her mom. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. What do you think Nancy would do? What do you think would be best for the integrity of this Let's Play and Nancy's character? Let me know. I'd be very curious to hear what all of you think as well. Anyway, back to describing the build, doing a little bit of landscaping here. I did kind of a little dirt path to give myself an idea of where I wanted plants to go. I wanted the landscaping to be floral and beautiful, but manicured at the same time. So I end up using the daisy bushes around the curves of the deck here because the the square plants that I was using didn't fit, and I actually end up liking how that turned out anyway because the square plants are nice and flat and the daisy plants give a little bit of more dimension. So I think it turned out really nice. And then I used these little cypress trees as just kind of a base for each side of the landscaping. I always find landscaping a little bit difficult, but I was actually really happy with how the landscaping turned out in this one. I often feel like I should be doing more in terms of landscaping, but I think we did just enough at the front of the house and there's just enough space filled in that I quite liked how it turned out. I was checking on the price of the house here because I was, again, trying to keep it affordable, but I struggled with that pretty majorly. It didn't work out quite as well as I had hoped. So again, let me know what you guys think. We'll have to figure that out. So here I am making a kind of feature wall with the, the vines here. I wanted to really hide the fact that the stairs did not allow the architectural detailing to go all the way around because that really bothers me. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I do not like those kinds of things. Out back here, I'm making kind of a little garden shed, and I actually turn it into a greenhouse because I've always thought, right now Ned is a astronaut. He works as an astronaut, and I think that's a cool career for him. And I think he's going to be doing that career for a little while longer. But I believe, I've always kind of thought this, that when he and Nancy begin to start a family together, which again is a little ways down the road, I think that Ned would probably want to stay home and be kind of like a stay-at-home dad, but he would work from home. And one of the best ways to work from home in The Sims and make good money is by gardening. So I figured he would have his own like organic gardening business, which is why I have a little greenhouse out the back. And even if we don't decide to go with that route, he can still have gardening as a hobby. I know lots of people who just garden as a hobby. My dad gardens as a hobby. Lots of people do. So it could just be for that as well. Otherwise, it's just a possible career for Ned. Since Nancy is very busy with her detective career, and we all know that Nancy is never going to give up solving mysteries, and Ned knows that as well. I don't think he has any conception or any idea that Nancy will ever give that up. I wanted to fill it in with some trees. I absolutely love mature trees in yards. I think that's one of the things that really makes a house feel like a home for me, is if there's these nice big trees. I thought about doing some more affordable lights, but honestly, these ones are just better. I'm gonna take a sip of tea quick. I love tea. So good. So anyway, just putting those lights all around the house so I could do the lighting. For some reason, I could not get that plant to stay on the wall. I wanted a little bit of color out on that front deck there, and we do put a little bit more later. I loved the idea of using this kind of like grayish blue wooden floor because it matched really nicely with the gray and white tones of the doors that we have going on in the house. And it's also just unique. I feel like it's a wood floor that I don't see in a whole lot of houses. So I liked the originality of it. And that lavender color ended up looking gorgeous in the front entryway. So I decided to carry that into the kitchen area as well. That's what we're working on right now, is the kitchen area. I was trying to find a kind of tile or a brick wall that I could use as a backsplash for the main part of the kitchen. Backsplashes make kitchens look a lot fancier, even if it's not a huge, really expensive backsplash. I think they just add a lot of really nice character to a kitchen. So I wanted to make sure I put that in. I liked the dark navy blue for the living room there. And then I wanted to stay with kind of like the blues, purples, and gray colors. So I went with kind of this light blue with kind of the grayish accents for the dining room in the back there. So there is a formal dining room because I figured Nancy and Ned would entertain quite a bit. I also brought the brick up to the second level as well because you can see it on the bottom level. And I really don't like when I put paint on the second level and it doesn't match the first level, because in real life that would look kind of weird. You'd see that split and it would look very strange. So I try to avoid doing that. I'm putting carpet in all of the bedrooms and then kind of deciding on a paint color. I go with a nice peachy kind of color for the master bedroom and then just standard gray for the other two rooms. So the other two rooms right now, one is going to be used as an office and one is going to be used as a guest room with a full-size bed and everything. And eventually, those rooms, if Ned and Nancy start a family, those rooms will be transitioned over into rooms for kids. But those are their purposes right now, would be an office and a guest bedroom, so they could have maybe some of the River Heights friends come over. I wanted to have a nice big entryway because, again, I feel like Ned and Nancy would invite people over to their house pretty frequently. So having a nice formal entryway would be great for entertaining. It just looks really cool. And I actually had a lot of fun doing the entryway just because I feel like it's an area of the house that can always feel so real when you're making it in The Sims. Just by putting a bunch of clutter items in it, it feels like somebody actually lives there. So I did like the coat racks and all of that, and I put a lot of clutter in the cabinet here. I love this cabinet from the Laundry Day Stuff Pack. I did use a little bit of custom content in this house as well. I use this custom content pillow, and I do use a couple of custom content art pieces, just like I did in the Drew house build that I did. But you can still easily download this house. I will put it up on the gallery if people would like it on the gallery. I can absolutely put it up there. You can still download it even with that custom content. You will just have to put some new paintings around in some places, which is totally fine. That works out just fine. So again, I put a lot of clutter in this cabinet, just some towels and like a Kleenex box, things that I feel like I remember having in my entryway growing up. We had a bench that we like just stuffed with coats and everything. And I wanted a big rug for this little, like, it's almost like a hallway. You can see into the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen from this one spot, and I didn't really want to block it with anything because then it would hamper kind of the flow of the house. So I just put those nice rugs and overlapped them to just kind of fill in the space a little bit better. And now I'm going to start working on the kitchen. I use these parenthood counters. I look at the other counters and kind of see if I want to use them, but I feel like I use the parenthood counters for almost every kitchen that I do. I love the look of them. I love the colors that they come in, and I feel like they're the most realistic and homey looking counters. I feel like a lot of the other ones look too sleek, not quite realistic, so that's kind of why I went with that. On the very right side, I wanted to make sure I used a counter that wouldn't run into the window, so we can still have the window there. And I do that with the cabinets as well. Right here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to find a way to block off the back of the stove so that you can't see it. And what I end up deciding to do is using one of my custom content paintings. I use it as kind of a blockade. I size it down one, and then I just put it behind the stove so it looks just like a little white shelf that's built under the counter. And I actually really enjoy how that turned out. I was very happy with that. I play around with the cabinets above the counters a little bit just to kind of see if I could keep the windows where they were. I thought about moving them over, but I didn't like how that turned out. So I just scooched them over using the Alt key. You can carefully move objects a little bit better. So I decided to do that with those kitchen items. Plus, it gives the cabinets a little bit more dimension because each one is a little bit different. They're not just a line of all the same cabinets along the kitchen wall. That can end up looking a little bit bland, so I like to try and shake it up a little bit. I decided to put some kitchen stools in here so they could have a nice little breakfast nook if they wanted, something a little less formal. Made sure to remember to put a thermostat in. I couldn't really put the the fire alarm above the stove because there's not a wall above the stove. But it's not like they're functional anyway. They don't do anything. It's not like the fire department comes to put out the fire if you actually have a fire. You kind of just have to rely on yourself. Oh dear. Time for another sip of tea. I realized just as I was taking my sip of tea that I put down a tea machine. Ha ha ha. What great timing. Didn't even know that was going to happen. Putting in a little bit of clutter into the kitchen now. Ooh, where am I going? What am I doing? What was I thinking of here? For some reason, I went upstairs. I don't know why. Maybe I saw something that I thought I wanted to put in the hallway upstairs or something. Not sure. Anyway, just trying to fill in the kitchen so it looks a little bit more realistic. I don't know about you guys, but my kitchen always has stuff on the counters. There's just like a random box of crackers that'll be sitting out, or a paper towel roll, or just like I have here, this like jar of peppers, a bowl of apples, this little potted plant that I had to move the counter to actually get it on there. So there's just a few different things sitting on the counters to give it a little more of a lived-in perspective. But I also wanted to keep the counters open as well so that there would be preparing room for all of the food. I put a lot of nice greenery inside the house too, just to have it feel, really feng shui. That's an important tenet in feng shui, is lots of greenery. Green plants indoors are just great for the energy of a house. I have always thought that, even though I'm really bad at keeping plants alive. Plus, I have a cat, and anyone who has a cat knows that cats like to chew on plants. So I can't actually have real plants pretty much anywhere in my house, except the one room where my cat doesn't go, which is our office area and our yoga area where I do yoga. That's the one place that I'm allowed to have a plant because my kitty does not go in there a whole lot. She's looking at me like, yeah, but I want to go in there. Oh, cats, they're wonderful. Very wonderful. I love these cats and dogs chairs with that blue plaid pattern, and I thought it just looked perfect in this living room area. I struggled a little bit with the layout of the living room because I knew I wanted to do those nice seats in the window area. I wanted to have those bay window seats, but it was a very big living room, so I had a couple of options. What I decided to do was, as you could see, the fireplace on the one side with just a nice little reading area, a nice little sitting area, and over on this side, I decided to make it just like a TV sitting area, or an area for watching movies. And I played around with the kind of furniture that I used and the position of the furniture. I loved the pillows on these like Seasons love seats and the Seasons couches, but the coloring just did not look right with the bay window seats that I wanted to use. The gray, none of the woods for the Seasons couches were gray. And I think that was really what was missing with the Seasons couches and why they didn't really feel like they worked for me. Some of the cushions were gray, but then the wood was brown, and I don't have any brown wood anywhere else in the living room, so it just did not work. And plus, I had this archway on that diagonal wall. Just to keep the house open again, I tried to have that archway there leading into the dining room, but it made the space not work as well. So I do eventually get rid of that doorway. Yep, there it goes. And I put the couches in instead, and that helped a lot. It really did. And I think lowering the TV helped as well because the space felt weird with the TV way up high. It didn't feel as cozy. So I put this big chair in. I wanted the bay window seat to still be able to look at the TV. And then I just put these little ottomans in instead of like big armchairs because big armchairs would block the view into this little sitting area, whereas the ottomans they're nice and low to the ground. They wouldn't block anything, so you could easily see into the area. And I think it actually worked out pretty well, especially when you put this rug in there to kind of tie in the space. I think it actually ended up working out pretty well, pretty nicely. Plus a nice little tree with the blue in there. It's a very blue room, but I think it's a very serene room. It would feel very relaxing. And now we're moving on to the downstairs powder room and laundry room. I put the stackable laundry machines in here, and then also just a toilet and a sink. I feel like it wouldn't be considered very classy to have your downstairs powder room also be a functional laundry room. I feel like that probably breaks some etiquette rules or something, like you wouldn't want your guests to see where you do your laundry. But I couldn't think of anywhere else for the laundry room to go. And I also wanted to have a bathroom on the bottom level because it's kind of frustrating when your Sims need to go to the bathroom and they always have to go upstairs. And if you have guests too, I think you don't necessarily want your guests to be going upstairs and being like, oh, here's your bedroom or something like that. Like, I feel like it would be worse etiquette to make your guests go upstairs to the bathroom rather than having a nice powder room downstairs. So I went with that. That's my reasoning for that. Not sure what is the proper way to handle it, but that's what I decided to do. So now moving on to the formal dining room, I went with lots of white wood. It's got a lot of nice warm lighting. There's some lovely candles. I went with the more affordable dining chairs just in white. Again, if Ned and Nancy have kids, the white chairs at the dining room table would not be the most realistic thing in the world because kids are messy, but I think it works. When I was a kid, my parents, they had nice dining chairs, but there was like plastic over the cushions, and I totally remember just like picking at the plastic as a kid, but the plastic was meant to protect the chairs from all the food that kids would drop on it, and it worked. It probably looked a little funny, but it worked. I was trying to get this mirror to fit on this wall because I really wanted to use this mirror, but I hate that this particular mirror, when you put it on the walls, is so high up, and I couldn't get it to sit where I wanted it to, and I didn't want to finagle it around for too long. So what I end up doing is just doing some vertical mirrors that I could actually raise up to a height that I liked, and I put them together as kind of like a little bit of a feature. Almost as like a little art feature. And mirrors, if you put them in a room, they automatically make the room feel larger. It gives an illusion of space. And since it's a cozy dining room, I definitely wanted to make it feel that way. I used these 2 pieces of art just with the different patterns on each side of the wall to give it a nice little, just formal artistic feel. Nice rug with the cool colors. Again, that's a Laundry Day stuff rug. Absolutely love the Laundry Day stuff pack. And then I wanted a little console table in here as well. I feel like console tables are great in dining rooms because you could put the food down there. That would be nice. Do I fix the blue in the living room? I don't remember. If I don't think I did. When I rebuilt the wall, I don't think I remember fixing the navy blue. So we'll have to do that when Ned and Nancy do finally move into this house. I'm sure that wall just will randomly not be painted. So moving on to the master bedroom, I went with kind of a peachy orange color scheme in this room. I think it balances feminine energy and masculine energy really nicely, which I think is important when you're doing kind of a space that is inhabited by both energies. If you're doing a room, like if I was designing a room just for myself, I would make it super feminine because that's my particular style. But when you have 2 very different styles in the same room that you both frequent, I think it's nice to try and balance those, and it presents a really nice design challenge as well. So yeah, this was a fun room. I don't do kind of like peachy orange color rooms a lot, but I think it ended up working out better in this room just because I use a lot of newer items that we haven't really had in The Sims for a super long time. Like, I think that dresser is Seasons. The painting above the bed is Seasons. I think the bed is Cats and Dogs. So, like, 2 of the newest packs. A lot of the decor is from older packs, like that plate is from Parenthood, and the plants are just base game. But a lot of the other stuff, I definitely took some influence from a lot of the newer packs. I wanted to try having a piece of art that just looked like it was sitting on the dresser, just to have different levels of the art in the room, because I feel like that gives it a different kind of sense of space. And I thought it would be nice to have a cute little sitting area over here next to this kind of curvy window. It would be a really nice reading area, or a nice place to like sit down while you're putting on your shoes or getting dressed in the morning, that kind of thing, with a nice little potted plant there. And the master bedroom does have a door out onto the balcony. Oh, I also was looking for a good chance to use this mirror, and it actually worked perfectly in that space. It needed a nice curtain, since their master bedroom looks out into the front yard. We wouldn't want anything going on there. We do take care of the balcony in a little while, too. I've really enjoyed lately using the tiles from the Jungle Adventure game pack in bathrooms. I think they just look really cool, and I love how the shower is glass and then the corner of it matches up so perfectly with the rest of the walls that it just looks seamless. So I have really been enjoying that lately. And I thought this bathroom was very classy. But again, it still had a little bit of a traditional element to it. So like when I put the counters in, I thought the vanity looked very classic and traditional, but then you have a lot of things in the bathroom that wouldn't necessarily be used in a bathroom all the time, like the bronze accents on the shower. I don't think that's something that's super typical. The sleekness of the glass of the shower probably isn't. I think the tub is almost cement looking, which is definitely a more modern take. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, I forgot a toilet roll in the downstairs powder room. Whoops. Putting in some nice towels. Again, bringing the peach theme from the bedroom into the bathroom, even though the bathroom is definitely more gray and white. And I was doing it with that little custom content cactus art as well. And then I put a nice big rug in there with some peach accents, a little bit of green. I do love how this bathroom turned out. I think it's very sleek looking, but it still looks like a comfortable bathroom. I wanted the tiles to be a little bit higher just because it looks better for the shower. But then I decided not to do those tiles for this bathroom because I wouldn't be able to fit the Jungle Adventure shower and a bathtub in here. So I decided to use different tiles and then use the Parenthood sink and bath shower combo in this adjoining bathroom. So this again is it's an ensuite, but it's shared between the two rooms that are next to it, which I think works. I ended up just tiling the part by the shower and then doing paint for the rest of the bathroom. I realized that in The Sims, they aren't going to splatter water everywhere, so I didn't need to do the tile, but I think it feels a little bit more authentic when I do that. It feels a little bit more realistic to me, and that's the kind of gameplay that I enjoy the most, is when it feels like a realistic family, and they're just like living their best lives in this fun little house. So I do want it to feel like a real family. That's always my goal. I hope that comes across in the Let's Play, even though Nancy does some pretty extraordinary stuff, and there is some crazy stuff that still happens, because it's The Sims, and that's how things work. We are sitting here for a long time. I think I was talking to my boyfriend at this point, but then I do eventually start furnishing once again. Sorry for the little delay. I'm going to take a sip of tea while we wait. Oh, here we go. I kept the office and the guest bedroom pretty simple. I didn't want to clutter them up too much because they aren't going to be permanent fixtures in the home. They're going to be an office for now and a guest room for now, but they won't be forever. And again, using a little bit of custom content art on the table, one that says love with the cute little arrows and one that says adventure awaits. That's the same one that Nancy has in her bedroom at home. That is another thing. Nancy could sell her bedroom furniture and put that towards the house. I'm sure she would be allowed to take her bedroom furniture. That's totally what I did when I moved out, is I took basically all the furniture in my bedroom, and that was just considered to be my stuff, even though I obviously didn't purchase it for myself when I was a child. So we could maybe say that she sold some of that stuff to get some money for this house. But she's also been working as a detective pretty well and has been making pretty good money. And we could say that maybe she has a secret savings account from all the mysteries she solved, because I'm assuming Nancy got paid for some of those mysteries she solved, right? I mean, she probably didn't solve all of them for free. We know she definitely is pretty frugal on a lot of those mysteries because she has to find spare change on the streets everywhere in order to survive. Funny. I always wondered about that. Like, really, Nancy? You're not bringing any money with you on this foreign vacation? What are you doing? I just, again, kept the guest room very simple, just put in some nice gray accents, just a simple little piece of artwork, some nice curtains, a little bit of clutter for the nightstand itself there. But again, this stuff is going to come out of this room eventually, so I didn't want to do it too much. You don't really do up a guest room a whole ton, as far as I know at least. I love putting this laundry day shelf places because it just, again, it looks so realistic. I feel like everyone has one of those in their home, or they have to put like towels and blankets and baskets and all that stuff. I did that fun little custom content tree art there. It just ended up looking really pretty. So now I'm decorating just the hallway a little bit, putting some nice artwork in the hallway just to make it feel a little bit more full. And Then I think I do the outside balcony and then the outside deck, and then that's pretty much the house. Just like with the Drew house build, I left the backyard fairly open so we can change it up with the seasons as needed. I don't know when Nancy and Ned will be moving into this house. It could be within 5 episodes, it could be within 10 episodes, it could be fairly soon. Who knows? I want it to be an organic process. They'll move in when it makes sense, when things start to fall into place for them. Anyway, fellow detectives, this video is shortly coming to an end. I do hope you enjoyed this build. Please let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Do you think it suits Nancy and Ned's style? Do you think they'll enjoy living here? How do you think they should get to the process of being able to live here? Do you think they should take out a loan? Should Nancy just accept help from her parents or from a trust fund from Kate or something? Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Hopefully, I really hope you enjoyed watching it. And I was so excited when you guys actually said that you were interested in seeing a build for this house, because I love building in The Sims and I was really excited to show this build off. So thank you so much for suggesting it and for asking for it, because yay! I hope you loved it. I hope you love it as much as I loved building it. Anyway, fellow detectives, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon.